Hello, loves. Well, eclipse season is coming, and I can tell because this is take 3 of this video. My internet went out twice, and anyway, but also I have COVID brain and jet lag. We went on a 2-week trip back to the UK, and both my husband and I got COVID on it. So we got back on Wednesday evening. I'm recording this on Friday, Venus Day, September the 29th, the day of the Aries full moon, and I'm still feeling a little foggy, but I'm getting there. COVID's gone. It's fine. It went before we traveled back. But anyway, but it is eclipse season, and the eclipses tend to make things very wonky and very eclipsy and very erratic. So if you feel like things are kind of losing control and that things are really kind of weird and happening very fast, and I've realized I have to get this book out again because I'd already recorded that bit twice and put the book away. But anyway, eclipses. October the 14th, we have the first of 2 eclipses, and it's a new moon annular solar eclipse. So we'll look at the chart in a minute, but first of all, breathe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment later after you've watched, subscribe to my channel, keep those algorithms going for me, watch the video to the end, even if you don't leave it running. But anyway, let's pull a card for this eclipse. It's a Libra eclipse, by the way, and I pulled the Seer of Seeds. This is from the Red Seeds Tarot by Linda Hill out of Etsy in the UK. And this is the Seer of Seeds. And the Seer of Seeds is I am dedicated. A new moon is a dark moon. And if you think about this eclipse new moon, the moon is covering the face of the sun. Now, this is an annular eclipse, which means that the moon doesn't fully cover the face of the sun. It leaves a ring of fire around the outside, but it is putting us in the dark. If you've ever been under a total eclipse, this is almost there. It doesn't go completely dark, but it's very close. And this eclipse is going to travel through quite a swathe of the US and South America. To see if you're under the path, there's a great page on Facebook called The Great American Eclipse. You can also Google it with the path of the eclipse. But it is a new moon, so we're in a no moon phase, and we get the no moon and the new sun on an eclipse. So this is powerful, and you'll see that this is a powerful eclipse overall. When we move to the chart, let me just text this. Sorry. Okay, so the card, the Seer of Seeds. This is the seer is saying that his energy is one of pure dedication, devotion, hard work, and service. And he knows that this combination can produce the very best in us. Like the seasons, we traverse ever-moving cycles in the search to find out who we truly are. He will teach us, but now he asks us to pause our work in this no moon, new moon phase and devote some time to reflection and meditation. He knows that something we have seeded needs to be fertilized with intent and devotion. Our patience and trust will be rewarded. So yeah, this is very relevant to this eclipse. I think it's a real important that you take the time under this eclipse to pause, to focus on your intentions and with dedication and devotion, because it's a very powerful change bringer. And the Venus is the guide for this eclipse, with the eclipse being in Libra, one of Venus' signs, and Venus is in Virgo, which is the sign of devotion, service, and real about work, really, and hard work, service, and dedication. So yeah, it's all coming together. The card was like, wow, yes, this really shows with the eclipse. Sorry about that, my husband was texting. Okay, so I said I needed to get this book out. So I do want to tell you that Bernadette Brady says of these series of eclipses, and I've lost my page now. No, there it is. This is in a series of eclipses that began in 1248 and will not end till 2492. Eclipses come in series that start at one pole and end at another. This one began at the south and is moving to the north. So it's Saros series 7 south, she says. So, but of these eclipses, Bernadette Brady said that this is about sudden clearing of huge obstacles, but also that can come through a crisis manifesting and moving through very quickly. So it's either clearing of obstacles or a crisis manifesting, but moving through very quickly. Either way, this is going to bring very rapid change and a reset. And eclipses are generally thought of as resets, new or full moons on steroids, if you like. Okay, so let's go into the numerology too. So this is at 21 degrees, this new moon eclipse. 21 is a number of communication and charm in the sign of Libra, which is a sign of communication and charm. So we're getting a lot of energy of this is about communication and about thinking and thought and how you think and what you think. So we'll look more at that in the astrology, but I do want to talk about the 21 being a 2 and a 1 making a 3. The 2 is generally thought of as the divine feminine. The 1 is generally thought of as the divine masculine, making a 3, which is the Trinity. And that shows up in the astrology as well, about uniting mind, body, and spirit holistically, bringing things together. We'll look more at that in the astrology. Oh, goodness. Now, other things I do want to mention is that we had an eclipse at this degree. Every 19 years, we have an eclipse at the same degree. So on October the 14th, 2004, we had a 21-degree Libra eclipse. And after that eclipse, that year, well, you can look back what happened to you for 2004 to understand what might happen for you. But I do want to remind you historically that in 2004, in December, so often eclipse energy reverberates afterwards, we had a 9.3 magnitude earthquake that caused a massive tsunami in Sri Lanka, India, Thailand, Indonesia, that kind of area of the world, that killed 250,000 people. And this eclipse has that kind of power. I'm not predicting there'll be another thing like that, but I'm going to say there could be. Okay. It really is, quite the eclipse. It's powerful. Libra is Venus ruled. Venus is in an earth sign. This eclipse is even more powerful than the last one. This is going to be a big change bringer, this eclipse. I can almost guarantee that it will be a massive change bringer. Okay. So what else did I want to talk about? So before that, we would have had 19 years before, we would have had an eclipse in 1985. So what degree was that at? You can look back at 1985 for yourself as well, I think, as well, to go back. That would have been close to this point because it's every 19 years. Okay, so we had that one. Oh, these were all Libra eclipses. Okay. Anyway, I told you about that last eclipse. That's one thing I want. Sorry, fog brain. So again, it was October the 14th, 2004. All right. So, yeah. And I've told you what happened. Now we need to look at the chart. Sorry about this. COVID brain, jet lag, all these things. So please, this is where my internet kept going out. No wonder I'm feeling a bit confused. So, but this is the chart. Oh my goodness, look at this. There's the sun and the moon together, new moon on October the 14th. It's at 1:55 p.m. Eastern, 11:55 p.m. where I am, 10:55 Pacific. A lot of us on the southwest of the US will see it in its totality. If we drive under the totality, if you are not afraid of eclipses, then I would suggest you go and see it. It's quite the sight. You'll need eclipse glasses because this is a ring of fire eclipse, which is what an annular eclipse is. The moon does not quite fully cover the face of the sun, but it is a new moon. And it's a new sun as well in many ways because the sun is literally being eclipsed. That's why new moon eclipses are powerful. Now, this is a south node eclipse, which means that the new moon is conjunct the south node. This is about moving away from something. This is about releasing something and having a new start. Now, it's full of potential, but it's with great potential comes great challenge, of course, as well. The south node in Libra is about where looking at your relationships and seeing where you compromise yourself and where you are perhaps overly, shall we say, codependent, where you really kind of give yourself up for others, and also where you keep the peace for the sake of keeping the peace. However, I think we give too much attention to this sometimes. It's always a balance. We're always about integrating polarities. So I'll talk more about that in a little bit, because when we are about integrating the Aries Libra axis, which is the me, we axis. Libra is also the sign of justice. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. And Libra is diplomatic, graceful, peaceful, idealistic, but it can also be unreliable, superficial, codependent, all those things. So all these things are coming up with this Libra energy for sure. But then we have Mercury. Mercury is combust the Libra new moon. Mercury is the mind, communication, all things of transitions, changes. There's going to be a lot of change coming with this, but Mercury is combust the sun, and on the other side of the sun from our perspective, invisible. So all of this is coming like, you know, ideas from deep within, deep reflection, deep inner reflection, deep strategizing about where you want to go. This is that bringing us back to that Seer of Seeds, about really pausing our work and devoting some time for reflection and meditation on this eclipse. Please take the time to do it. We've also got Pallas Athena, the creative intelligence asteroid, the wise owl, wise justice warrior in the sign of justice. I think there's going to be some rapid change in the scales of justice in so many ways on this eclipse. It's and really going to bring some surprises as well, but also removal of obstacles. And then we have asteroid Lilith here, and also in Libra, the talk to the hand asteroid Lilith, saying, I've had enough. I'm the teenage rebel. I am not going to be put in the corner anymore. And then we have a square to Pluto. Pluto stations direct on just 4 days before this new moon eclipse. Okay, so I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So Pluto is at a standstill, digging deep. This is indicating major changes for our institutions and structures of our lives. Then these other lines I've drawn on. Neptune and Uranus are in a sextile aspect to each other. Uranus, the benevolent rebel, the big change bringer, the shock and lord of lightning bolts. Neptune is the dissolver and also the connection with source and spirit. This is where it kind of worries me a little bit about Earth energies, earthquakes, things like that happening, but let's focus on what it means for you. But we have these two pointing at Libra to make a finger of fate or God, okay, a yod. And Uranus is in the Venus other sign, Earth sign Taurus, so we have the material world. We have Neptune in Pisces, which is source, spirit, the connection with the collective unconscious, the cosmic soup. And then we have the mind. So we have mind, body, spirit in a finger of God. But it's not just a finger of God. It is a boomerang yod, because over here in Aries, we have the North Node with Eris conjunct the shit stirrer, the goddess of discord, still in a square to Pluto, saying it's time to shake tables, shake things up, and fight for the outsiders in Aries, which is very kind of fighty. And then we have Chiron, the key to healing is also opposing. But because this is a boomerang yod, this Aries, this I am energy, this pioneering energy, this energy of independence, of optimism, of new starts, of being courageous, of taking the lead and taking a stand is a big focus for this. So this is the energy of I am in Aries. Okay, so I'm actually going to share this, stop the share and just talk about what all this means. And then we'll go on to the symbols. But let me talk about what this all means overall. Now, this is a Venus-ruled new moon. And remember, we've got the moon and the sun together on the south node of the moon, saying it's time to change and time to move more towards the I am energy. But we've got Mercury combust, we've got Pallas Athena combust the sun, we've also got asteroid Lilith conjunct the sun. This is kind of saying it's time to really go within and really think about where you are out of balance, where you are out of harmony in mind, body, and spirit. Bearing in mind, we've got Uranus in Taurus and Neptune in Pisces. And where do I need to focus on creating more balance within myself? Where do I need to focus on self-love, self-harmony, my own balance of mind, body, and spirit, and not compromising any of that energy for others? Where do I need to pause and find that sweet spot of balance and think differently about who my relationship, my most important relationship is with yourself? Venus is the guide for this new moon. Venus moves into the Virgo on October the 8th, just 6 days before this new moon, finishing that long retrograde journey in Leo. Venus has gone into her heart, has looked at what her heart's desire is, and now in Virgo, said to be her sign in fall, though I rather like Venus in Virgo, is actually kind of saying it's time to do the work, time to be the priestess, time to be humble, time to be of service, but time to be whole. Virgo is also whole unto oneself. So taking in mind all that energy in Libra about coming into self-love, thinking differently about this with Venus in Virgo, it's time to change and put yourself first and shake things up in that way. Mars rules that North Node. We have Eris North Node. I actually did a video about the Eris North Node conjunction, which is hugely discordant and disruptive. But also it's about time to take the stand. It's about time to take the stand for against unfairness. It's time to say if it is to be it, or it's up to me. It's time to have the courage to step into your true I am presence and take the initiative, and to be spontaneous and have more verve and passion and say, yes, I can. And the key to healing, Chiron in Aries, with Chiron not stationing direct until the end of December, but in Aries is saying you are the only person who can change your life. You are the only person who can create the life you want. The astrology, from my belief and my perspective, shows us what we need to know, shows us what we need to change. But then if it is to be, it's up to us. But this is a time to really take the stand up for yourself, stand up for the outsiders, stand up against keeping peace for peace sake, and putting your primary balance relationship with yourself, mind, body, spirit, and probably, you know, your own unit, your significant relationships, putting those first and thinking differently about that. I mean, maybe you've come from a really dysfunctional family and you've been trying to smooth things over for many years. Maybe it's time not to do that. You know, it doesn't mean attacking anybody. This just means saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm taking a stand, and I'm not compromising my values. Libra is very much about values. I'm not compromising my own sense of well-being and wholeness for anybody else anymore. Okay. Now, Mars is the ruler of Eris, where the boomerang yod is pointing at, and Mars is in Scorpio. So Mars was the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and Mars is saying this is time to, you know, really kind of do some deep digging in Scorpio into what really has is really passionate for you. You know, what lights you up, what kind of fills you with that kind of orgasmic kind of pleasure. But also it's a time for some deep soul searching with Mars in Scorpio, I think, as well, about all these themes of unfairness, lack of balance, lack of justice, lack of equality. You're going to be saying it's time to shake things up and time to change. Now, the square to Pluto. Pluto is at a standstill. Pluto has been revealing the shadows since 2008, digging deep, excavating the shadows in the structures of our lives at so many levels. Pluto has been in an ongoing square with shitstirrer Eris as well for the last few years. Things that are coming to light now. It's time to say, I go within. I think about this. I know that there's huge potential for creating something much more balanced and harmonious with this eclipse, but I have to go within. I have to pause and devote some time to this reflection on this eclipse, and fertilize those seeds that you've been setting for so long. And then you can start to take action over the next few months. Your mind is within as well, because your mind and Mercury and your ideas about what needs to change, it's all in the dark on the new moon. So it's not time to do, but it's time to think about it, and then you will be taking action later. It's a powerful eclipse overall. You know, with the it's aspecting the three outer planets that are the big change bringers, plus the square to Pluto, the big death and transformation agent. Neptune in Pisces, saying the collective unconscious, the cosmic soup of creation, the amniotic fluid. Uranus in Taurus is bringing massive changes in our value systems, money as well. There could be some, in fact, we're already seeing it as we approach the eclipse, changes in you know, the FTSE index and the share values and so on, and house prices. Everything's very erratic, very eclipsy at the moment, and I think this is going to bring a lot of volatility in that. But the focus in this is on you, in this inner balance, inner harmony, self-love. Libra is about really finding your own chi, your own balance, and saying, I put myself first, and I have to find that balance within before I can go out and do other things. Okay. It's about becoming whole unto oneself. Okay, so I'm going to read the symbols. So before I move on to the symbols, I do want to ask you again to subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up and check that little bell. I'm going to be doing quite a few videos over the next few days because of being away for 2 weeks and having COVID. I have not done much over the last couple of weeks work-wise. But let me read the symbols. I'm actually going to John Sandbach's own site. He channeled the Chandra symbols. And he also rechanneled the Sabian symbols, and he has some other symbols on his site, johnsandbach.net. So he has these symbols are all kind of very inwards. Okay, so the Omega symbol for 22 Libra, because we always go up, is a man avoiding moonlight. And he says, this degree knows the profound value of keeping a goal in sight and of maintaining objectivity without repressing or denying one's feelings. The emotions are respected and allowed to be what they are, but can be overcome, ignored, or put aside if they become obstructions to what one is trying to accomplish. If one can let go of all fears of what a subconscious holds, then the greatest powers of this degree can be accessed. The Chandra symbol for this degree is an ancient glass vial perfectly preserved. This vial is protected from time and the elements. To avoid moonlight, as the man does in the Omega symbol, is to avoid vulnerability, but to do this not through becoming hard and resistant, but through creating a protective aura around oneself within which one may maintain sensitivity and delicacy. To be protected, the vial must have been buried in the ground or in some other way hidden, or valued and handled with care. However this protection has occurred, what has come down to us is something beyond current fashions and attitudes, and without modification, meaning without compromise. This degree signifies ways of being that transcend what is passing, and a timeless sensitivity that when shared with others can reawaken their sensitivity. The Pleiadian symbol is the re-channeled Sabian symbol, and this is butterflies and dragonflies around a fountain splashing in sunlight. Now, all of this to me says, it speaks to all of that pausing, that going within, that finding this inner balance and chi, and kind of making this protective bubble around you becoming whole in mind, body, and spirit, so that you can maintain your Libra and is such a sensitive and delicate balance and sign, but it needs some kind of protection and care. It's about this self-care, all right, to bring this major transformation. My favorite kind of bugbear is self-care, self-care, self-care. Now, remember, Libra is an air sign as well. And the Sabian symbol for this new moon is a child giving birds a drink at a fountain. James Burgess says that this is expressing compassion whenever we feel it. But he says, as much as we are insignificant, momentary grains of sand in the eternal, infinite expression of isness, we are also powerful and important creators with the possibility to use nature's gifts for whatever purpose we choose. So we choose to employ our gifts, skills, and imagination to help others, which is very Venus in Virgo, and to offer caring attention. This demonstrates the depth and sensitivity of our understanding of life's core secret meaning, to serve another as if it were ourselves. I will add to this, though, because these symbols, honestly, they've been interpreted a lot by men. And I kind of think that this is about serving yourself first and thinking differently, about going within, you think of the birds. The birds is ideas about changing your ideas. There's a lot of ideas floating about. The fountain is flowing, and you want to help others and provide for the needs of others, and especially those who find it hard to help themselves. There's Eris's influence there. The simple, unconditional gestures of giving love and joy that are done for others can revitalize situations beyond expectations. This is about dropping the what's in it for me attitude and adopting caring and sharing ways. However, it is about nourishing your own soul at that fountain first of all. Okay. Because if you don't fill your own cup first, you are unable to help others. So, because the caution with this symbol is always feeling like you are the one who has to provide, okay? And about overgiving to others and compromising and being codependent and being condescending as well could be another one as well. So, there's just so much complexity in this new eclipse. It's a powerful, powerful eclipse. It's going to bring things to light. You're going to have awarenesses come in about where you have perhaps served others over yourselves, or where you have also been all about me, and not about taking a stand to help the outsiders and others. But also you need to fill your cup first. It's all about the balance between the Aries and Libra in this boomerang yod, and about coming into that wholeness and balance. Just my age and my life experience shows me that until we really kind of fill our own cup and work on our own needs, our own healing, we cannot help others. We just deplete ourselves, and we give, and people take, or we are fully selfish and say my way or the highway and don't think of others. Either way, we're reaching this balance. I want to share the chart again. The Aries Libra axis is really one of me, Aries, and Libra is we. And this North Node Eris showed up unfairness. She threw the apple of discord in to show where the world was unfair and where we needed to find the balance. So I think that the releasing end, the South Node, the Libra South Node of this eclipse is really about, if you think of Libra, it can be so surface, so social mores, so social niceties, and saying, so long as it looks nice, everything's okay. I think there's a big element of leaving behind what looks nice and what is socially acceptable for doing the right thing and finding real balance. And the fact that Venus is in the sign of Virgo, which is the sign of the priestess and of wholeness and being whole unto oneself and being of true service, is saying that we have to step into more of that. I think I say this every time, but the astrology keeps telling me this, to be quite honest. So I do want to pull one more card. I'm just called to. I love it. I actually got the Lovers, which is actually the Gemini card, which is another air sign. It's also Mercury's sign, and Mercury is conjunct this eclipse. But let me read you what this book says about the Lovers, because these cards are amazing. This is I Am Union. The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart. That's the Buddha quote on this. In this card, we meet the energy of harmony, relationship, sexuality, and beauty. This, in the ancient world, the number 6 was connected to Aphrodite, the goddess of love, who was often depicted as both male and female genitalia. The lover's archetype can symbolize an early relationship I'm ignoring that bit, because the Lovers card really is the union with ourself and the divine, reconciliation with oneself and all that is other. So it's a powerful, powerful eclipse. I think it's going to shake some boats and rock some boats and rock some tables. I think the world of justice and politics is going to be crazy, but I'm not even going to go there. I want you to think about this as taking this pause, looking at your inner seer about where you are bringing in the union of all opposites within yourself to bring more harmony, balance, and just like kind of what's the other things for Libra? More grace, more inner peace, more serendipity, more creativity. Libra is such a fair, tactful, charming sign that can be so surface if not careful. But with all of these things in Libra, this is saying go within and go deep and let go of any of that surface kind of Libran energy. I think in many ways it's kind of a crazy eclipse, really. It's very powerful, going to bring major change. But the key word for this eclipse is finding that inner balance, I think, so that you are more able to be more useful, more of service, and more kind, more loving, and more able to be in healthier unions with all that is in with people, places, and things. Powerful eclipse, and I feel like I'm about to fade because of the COVID. Oh, the good news is, if anybody gets this new lot of COVID, this is my second time. It was nowhere near as bad as the first time. Still not fun. Still got some after effects, my ears. But by the time of the eclipse, I should be feeling fully well, and I hope you stay well too. And if you are able to get out under this eclipse, oh my goodness, it's quite the eclipse, to be quite honest. It's in fact, I think I could show you. Oh no. You'll have to find the path. I'm going to be under the eclipse. On the day of the eclipse, we are actually driving from Salt Lake City to Utah, right under the path of the eclipse. We're going to Vegas to see U2 in the sphere, which feels very appropriate for an eclipse. And on the way to Vegas, we drive under the path of the eclipse. So we're just going to leave in plenty of time to park up and witness this amazing sight. So if you're under the path, I hope you get the opportunity to. Of course, some cultures believe that we should not look at the eclipses, so I honor you if that's your culture. I personally, this will be the second one I've seen, solar eclipse. I think it's a sacred time to spend in it, so I do kind of go into prayer when I see it as well. So whatever works for you always work. Just know it's a really powerful eclipse. You know, just to look at that chart one more time again, and don't forget to subscribe to my chart to there you go. Look at all this, Libra. Okay, you are going to come with some very creative ideas. Anyway, I'm rambling now. I will see you next time, and I love you, and don't forget to subscribe.